Yes, hello and welcome to the revival of the Chemical Reactions podcast, which was recently rebranded as Let's Get Chemical. This is the first episode we've recorded since June 2021, so we're all very excited. Our new team consists of 6 promising up-and-comers in the podcast world. My name is Jaap. I am a 26-year-old chemical engineer here at the UT, and I'm currently finishing my master's in the chemical and process engineering track. With me today is Bob Hengeveld. Hello, Bob.
Hello, Jaap.
Maybe you can tell us something about yourself.
Sure. My name is Bob, obviously. I studied here in Enschede from 2011 till 2019. I studied chemical engineering and I did my master's for chemical and process engineering. But now I work at the government.
Yeah.
But I will continue later, I think, about it. But I played basketball. I also did a lot of basketball playing here in Enschede. And I also like video games and doing cultural things.
Okay.
Stuff like that, I think.
What kind of cultural things do you like?
What do I like to go to concerts, but sometimes also see dance or something, cultural activities in the city or something like that. I don't know. I just like the diversity of...
And you're living in Utrecht now, right?
Yes, I'm living in Utrecht right now.
Would you say there is more culture there than in Enschede?
Ooh. Well, there's more diversity, maybe. But it's also a bigger town, so I don't know if that's really...
It's not a fair comparison, maybe.
Yeah, comparison, thanks.
Maybe it's not a fair comparison. Understood.
Yeah.
Okay, and what kind of concerts do you like to go to?
Ooh, I went to Rorkels during ADE.
Ah, yeah.
I will go to Muse next year. I once been to Red Hot Chili Peppers, go back to the zoo.
Awesome.
But I really wanted to go to Daft Punk one time. Yet the famous 2007-2017 live albums, a tour, and the 1997 and 2007 live albums, and then something in 2017 would come for Daft Punk. Everybody was, whoa, will come a new tour? But it was a new album. And a couple of years later, they stopped.
And no tour?
No tour, no.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, that's a real bummer.
That's a big bummer.
No, indeed. But actually did.
Now, an important question. Do you ever listen to podcasts yourself before you proceed?
Yes, I've been a listener to the Media podcast.
The Media?
The Media podcast from, it's called... it's was the tech journalist van de Wereld Draait Door. Alexander Klupping, and now from the correspondent. But they talked a little bit about media and all kind of stuff.
Cool.
But I also listen to Mama the podcast. But I listen a lot now to Vandaag from NFC. That's the newspaper. I also, what do you call it?
It's just news?
Yeah, it's just news. But they have one story each day where they talk about it. So they ask the journalist who wrote about the story, give you a little bit more backstory.
Oh, okay.
So I really like it because it's a little bit about storytelling, but about news.
Yeah. Cool.
So I really like that. Yeah.
Cool. And what are you passionate about as a person?
What makes me passionate?
It's an easy question.
I like what makes me passionate. I'm really passionate about making technical things, but not especially like technology. Because how can technology empower humanity or make better lives for ourselves, but also for the surroundings. Mostly you could say nature, but I think technology and nature is a little bit opposite of each other. To say that technology will empower nature or makes nature better is a little bit strange. So I don't say that often, but I think it can really help most people. But also just what makes me yeah, I think also to have always to have sight on societal things, problems, and to bring that in effect. My work, but also other works, or if you don't work at all, that you do it with voluntary work or something like that.
Yeah.
I also do that a lot, and I think that's always important, but also to be passionate about that because you're doing things for just somebody you don't know, and that's a great feeling.
Do you do volunteer work?
Yes, I do.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I'm a city ambassador for Utrecht. I will finish that this year.
I saw that on the Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I did know it. Yeah.
And but also I'm now a basketball trainer, but it's also voluntary work. And I'm an explicateur, we call it. So I give introductions to movies in the local art house.
Really?
In Utrecht, yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's funny because you also meet people you normally don't see.
Yeah.
And that's also one thing what I'm passionate about is people.
Yeah.
People.
What kind of introductions do you give to those movies?
Well, you can't say nothing really about the story, of course, because they will see that you can't ruin the plot.
Well, you can, but they'll hate you.
Yeah. But most of the time I highlight some details or some background story about the movie. So you have a little thing that you know a little bit more about the movie, but it's something you also will remember. So it gives just a little bit more flavor to the movie.
Did you know that the philosophy department of the UT has something similar? They do the philo film, and then they introduce the philosophical context of a movie before.
Oh yeah, indeed, it's more specified to philosophy, but indeed, nice. Cool. That's also cool that they do that.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then my next question is going to be, why do you think I invited you here? Because I insisted that we had you here as a guest. Why do you think that is?
Well, I'm a government official.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit of a peculiar choice when you studied chemical engineering. So I think that's part of the reason. Maybe also I did an internship in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So I think that's also one of the choices. And maybe I just and also a funny guy.
Well, just a very, very delightful personality. That was like 95% of my motivation. And no, you're right. The rest is definitely your atypical profile. Well, not that atypical, I think.
Yeah, it depends. In years ago, when it was more common to also be a government official. Also, especially with an engineering background.
Do you know people who are in a similar position as you?
From my years?
Yeah, this program here, or?
The Rolf van der Gaast and Constantijn Rip.
Yeah.
Also work in my team, by the way.
In your team, even?
Even in my team, yes.
That's cool.
So it's maybe it's a little bit upcoming, but
yeah.
But I think it's also been years since the government in sustainability, especially regarding industry, are hiring engineers again. Also starters then.
Starting engineers.
Yeah, It's a starting job.
Yeah, that makes sense.
For most part now.
Yeah.
Because you have some old people who had 35 of years of work at the industry and then come to...
You're in need of some fresh innovation.
Yeah, but also new opinions and new insights, new perspectives. And then you need new young blood in your organization.
And how did you go from designing distillation columns to doing an internship in America? And what was the internship about?
Yeah, you had to do an internship in your masters, of course, and I think most of the masters know that. It's really part of your education. I thought, I want to really do with innovation, some new things, and not the regular engineering thing I've already been doing for 5 years in my bachelor. And And so I thought, the Walhalla for innovation is in San Francisco. So I thought I will first look there and I will see what it will end up. I'm also a little bit a lazy person, so I thought maybe 2-3 months looking. Okay, it's not possible, but I've tried.
You fixed the location first. You wanted something in San Francisco.
Yeah, something in San Francisco. So I already from where can I start? So I went to the counselor for internships, and we don't know companies. It's been a long time. And then one of the archives spoke about the innovation attaché, the Holland Innovation Network, in correct English.
Yeah, I think correct English is going to be tricky for this whole episode because most of the, how do you say, most of the organizations that you work with or that you work for have a very typical Dutch name.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
With a different English name, but we'll do our best.
Yeah, so the Dutch name is Innovatieattaché.
Yeah.
But the English pronunciation or name is Holland Innovation Network. And I think that you should see that as something with diplomacy, but also collaborations on technical terms. So how can you work together as two countries with some specific sectors or advancements in technologies to both benefit from them.
And that's what you found in the archives?
There's one I found in the archive for an internship job, something like that, for clean tech, and that was then 5 years ago. And there was one one email and a telephone number, I think, but a phone number, and.
But they worked.
That was very old, and that person didn't work there anymore. So I looked it up, and there I found the Innovatieattaché in San Francisco. So I just mailed them from, do you know companies who maybe would look for chemical engineers internship from the Netherlands? And it was really just a small email. I think not saying from I'm the best chemical engineer student from just saying from are there companies in the neighborhood there?
You weren't selling yourself.
No. I just was asking, and that was I think in November or beginning December of what should it be? I think 2016. And after in the new year 2017, I got an email back from we don't really have those contacts at companies, but we do also have internships, and we are really looking for a long time for someone chemical. So they didn't say it then, but it was a little bit in gift from nowhere.
Yeah,
because it's really difficult for them to get chemical students.
And they facilitate contact between San Francisco and the Netherlands?
Yeah, more like that, yeah. So I got an interview with them, and so they talked a little bit. So you have some road shows, your companies come missions, they called. So you have a mission for, let's say, bio-based production. So there's companies from the Netherlands will come there, and they will talk with other companies in America, but also with the American government and with all stakeholders who have affection or know their way for bio-based production in the sector there, because it's like say booming there.
But it goes both ways. It's not necessarily a mission to get innovation to San Francisco or to the Netherlands.
No, exactly, because that's the neat part, I think, but for some people a little bit too abstract, is that you want to create value by companies meeting with each other, creating collaborations, maybe a merger or an acquisition of a company to create economic value between a region and country in a certain sense. But I didn't know that. But they said, we have internships and we want to do a mapping of the bio-based specialty chemical sector in the Bay Area. And then we need someone with who knows about chemicals.
Yeah.
And I thought from, okay, cool. I said, we have only one thing. We always ask for a minimum of 6 months. It's also the maximum. So if you come for an internship, you have to stay there for 6 months.
Yeah.
So of course I keep my head cool and said, where can I sign? But I first have to, but because it was longer and it was also not direct and something like an engineering internship. So I had to ask the old education director. Who's called again? It's not André ten Elshoff, but
Ben Bethlehem.
Ben Bethlehem, yeah.
You asked him for a letter of recommendation?
No, not for if it was possible to do this.
Yeah.
Together with Betty Volkers, but he loved the idea. It was not the typical engineering, also advisor role and more of a consultancy. So I really liked it, and so I got a mentor from business administration and from the chemical engineering department. Yeah. So I could do this kind of combination of business administration and chemical engineering. And then in October 2017, I went there.
Cool.
Yeah.
And what did you like best about your internship experience?
I really liked the visits to companies there. I visited big companies at bio-based specialty chemicals, but also beyond that.
How many of them?
I think more than 20, I think.
Oh, wow.
I also helped with the mission. So I really saw how do you connect people and how do you try to create value.
Yeah.
Because it's doing things without a clear objective, but also results.
You're just scouting possibilities.
Yeah, you don't know when you get the result back. So if you don't like that, it's really... it's not the job for you, I think. But it's really cool to just you strategize about which people should meet each other. And I had one company who was at some mission, and 2.5 years later they had an acquisition by a bigger company. There's some kind of things you want.
Yeah.
There's not always, you don't always get the feedback, but it was nice to see. So, nice.
That's the best case scenario. There's a fruitful collaboration, and
I know where they started to talk. About that. So,
and cool. Do you reach out to companies then, or do they also reach out to you?
Kind of both ways, depending on what they have their wishes, and you think from what is best. It's always a little bit, of course, a discussion, but also how do you get the best results? What you think is best for them.
Cool.
But you also try to listen to those companies and people.
And what was it like living in San Francisco?
Expensive.
Yeah?
It's one of the expensive cities in America, but it was also, it's very good. That's atmosphere of Silicon Valley. It's a big cultural history. Also for the gay community, but also with the arts, a lot of poems. American poets have been living there, so it had it all, and it was not one of the really big cities. It was 30 in population. It was the 38th city of America, so it's pretty small, but therefore also nice. Not Los Angeles, where you can have literally for freeways.
Yeah.
So that was nice. You could walk it sometimes. So I had free weekends, so I walked just through the city, through the neighborhoods, like the Golden Gate Bridge.
Cool.
I could do that. Yeah, it was very cool.
Okay, and then you went back, and you finished your master's, right?
Yeah.
And then you decided how. Like this also inspired you, right, to seek in a similar direction for your final career?
Yeah, but not at first sight, I think, because I also applied to companies here in the surrounding of Enschede. I applied to Host and other companies, but I also saw one.
A vacancy.
Yeah, vacancy. Thank you.
Yeah.
Vacancy at RVO. En RVO stands for Rijksdienst voor Ondernemen Nederland.
Yeah.
So that's the Dutch name, and then the English name is Dutch Enterprise Agency.
Yeah.
And so it's when you work at the government, you have some policy makers, but you have also someone who needs to execute those policies, and that's are like government bodies, like the RVO.
Yeah.
So they're and the innovatieattaché where I was working in San Francisco was in the organizational structure of RVO. So that's why I know that, and that were really cool and nice and smart people. So I thought, why should I think I should try.
They were already in your network too.
Yeah, a little bit. And it was an application for advisor energy innovation. And it was about innovation and then about finance. And it was about subsidy schemes. And I just had for a year, I've been working at the Dutch Student Investment Fund here in Enschede.
Yeah.
Is where you invest in companies run by students, but the investment is by students.
Yeah.
So I really liked the work together with your technical background, but also a little bit finance. It's just a lot, and diversity, and it was project based. Really, what I think I liked, and I worked there now for 3 years, and still really like the job.
Yeah, you can confirm this is what you like.
Yeah, it's really what I like. Of course, there are sometimes it is the government. Sometimes it's a little bit slow.
Yeah.
But yeah, my work is never is always about recent things that happen in society, in policy, in politics. So when I started, I was one of the first additions to the team of industry, and for a long time, I think more than 10 years, it was more one person. But now we're in a team of 10 because industry is really getting a lot of attention, but also a lot of money. There's a transition that needs to be done.
In terms of sustainability, you mean?
In terms of sustainability, yes.
Yeah.
And especially look if you the climate agreement in the Netherlands is say that 19.4 megatons of CO2 equivalents needs to be decreased over in that time in small window, and then in 2050 it should be carbon neutral.
Yeah.
And in a circular economy. So a lot needs to be done. And so there's now an industry policy. They're talking about it, and some things come my way. It's not that I just read projects and say yes or no. There are also more. There are finance decisions you don't know. That's what you try to read behind the lines.
Yeah, because a large part of your job is subsidy applications, right?
Yeah, most of my work, application. Then I read and I
you assess.
Yeah, assess. Yeah, I assess them, and I will say if I'll grant them this subsidy or I will decline them.
Yeah,
and that's the short version.
Yeah,
but I also look to. Is it technical feasible? Is it economic feasible? Is there will there be enough reduction or savings of energy?
Yeah.
Will they do what they tell? Are they capable? And is the project also good written? So is it? Do we know what they will do?
Yeah.
Because not only we have policies and laws in the Netherlands, but also laws in Europe. Because if you give money from a government to a company, that's not always allowed in Europe, because you can affect the free market.
Yeah. It can. How do you say that? Threaten free competition.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're really big enough, like China and America, it doesn't really make a thing. So there's especially China is known for putting a lot of money in their own companies, but they're state owned. So of course, you can debate about that. But in Europe, we want to have free competition.
Yeah.
But it also applies that certain amounts of money can be given to companies, and that needs to be fully documented. How will they spend it? What will it bring up? And therefore, we say there's some kind of technology readiness level about technology, and if that is not already fully developed in a free market, then in that degree, from like an idea till almost a demonstration in their sector, you can give some kind of some amount of money to it. And because it's also, if you have the first demonstration of the technology in something, it is a lot of money you need. So that's why we say it's a demonstration project with a maximum of 15 million euros to give subsidy. But it's also part of an investment aid. So that means they also need to invest also more than that 50 million. Typically it's in the 35, 50 million they need to invest. So it's not only, we don't fully subsidize 100% the project. So it's really an aid in that sense.
And you're mentioning European laws as well as Dutch laws. Do you have to be aware of both of those, or do you have like a very big legal department that you have on speed dial? Or
we do have a very big legal department, but I know those laws the best. It is also a little bit of in the first year you work, you get you really know the borders of the laws for what can approve in the subsidies or not.
Because companies are always finding those limits.
So you get some familiarity with legal things. So that's also what I like about the work. It's not about technical, it's about economic, it's about legal, it's about administration, it's also about strategy. It's, because they also have to position themselves from what will my technology do for this market? Will enhance production, because that sounds nice if you can do it for less energy, but also overproduction is also not good. So there are more ways to say something is sustainable, and then it's really when you it's the other side of the mirror from where engineers, and I need all numbers to see if something is sustainable, and so I want a life cycle assessment. Then you can put all the numbers in a report and you can do something. But if the people really don't see it or don't buy it, they will protest against you. So that's also the societal impact of a project you need to think about. So
you need it like a strategic intuition. More than only the rational and numeric reasoning.
I think that's also a little bit the hard part of being, I think also for big companies and engineers, the numbers say it's good. So, but unfortunately, that's not always, that something it says is good doesn't mean it's always good.
It's one of the criteria.
Well, most of the time we rely on the numbers. I have to say that, but I think sometimes it can all look good. Like all applications of the projects are all good projects, but they're not. That's not always the case. There are certain things they didn't show, or didn't give the numbers, or they're calculated not correctly. It's also possible.
And how many companies try to find the limits of what's possible within the law? If you had to give a percentage, like how many try to bamboozle you?
No, I don't think a lot of try to bamboozle us. You also have subsidy advisors. So they advise companies how to get subsidies for the projects if they have a project they think can apply. And they will also do the project report and something. They do the administrative part and also convince us. But also they get the money, a certain percentage of the application of that project.
If they succeed.
If they succeed. So they can think from, well, you have this, but if you add this, you get more money, but also they get more money. So that's it. Do they try to bamboozle us? No.
Let's call it strategic maximization.
Yeah, something like that. I think I don't think it's really in bamboozle for us. I think it's 5% or less, but there are companies and people who apply for those subsidies and try to. They will want the money, but not really for sustainable goals.
Yeah.
Because it's also, if you have a project you really like to do and you think, I think it's also in the field of the subsidy, the background, I can also apply.
Yeah.
They didn't because they wanted to do more sustainable, but they just want the aid for investment.
Yeah.
But that's the world you're where you work with. So it's never 100% correct, I think, and also because they don't know what they can ask. Sometimes you just don't know.
Yeah.
So then you give it back, and then now we have 30% less budget. But we can't give money to that.
Yeah.
And then it's become a little bit grumpy, but still they get aid, or sometimes they don't. Sometimes I'm also a little bit like an asshole, just saying, sorry, but you can't put that in our subsidies.
Yeah.
It is not. I think one of the examples is always something with electricity production, because for industry, it is very broad and you can do all kinds of stuff. But production of electricity has their own subsidies schemes, so it's taken out of industry. But it's a little bit strange, of course, because electricity production from the heat from your production process, something like that, is very common. But that's something that's not really
legally. It's different.
Yeah, legally it's different because of how it's designed.
Yeah.
So that's very difficult, and it's like the very very much in shade of shade of gray.
Yeah, it's a gray area.
Yeah, gray area.
Yeah.
So that's always and with all the information you get, you try to give the best decision if you can supply the subscription or not.
Yeah, because you also try to help companies sometimes.
Yeah. So we can give them an indication if they can apply or not.
Yeah.
So is this production okay for the subsidy I like? But I can't really help them right because I also assess them. It would be weird.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So
but you do give like a rough estimation beforehand before they do like a big investment in preparing everything.
Yeah. So I advise them from they have a project and there's some kind of installations or something. But like say, there's also installation that will produce electricity, and I say, well, sorry, I see that you also plan to do this, but we can give subsidy, so you need to take that out of the project.
Yeah,
that's the most short kind of it. But you also get the creative project who are on a thin line if it really it's in the program of the subsidies. Like bio-based production, bio-based production for new chemicals or maybe plastics or something like that. But how is about bio-based production for a product that is used for heating?
Yeah,
it becomes a little bit.
But there's no law against trying.
No, exactly.
No.
So that's you can always apply.
Yeah.
But only we will give.
It's at your own risk.
Yeah.
And how much of your technological knowledge that you learned at the University of Twente do you still apply?
At first, when I worked there, I think, well, not that much. But how longer I work, how more I see that you have that kind of thinking of an engineer. If something is feasible or not, or something will work that way, or how do you call it? So a machine that can produce its own energy. But what's not.
You mean a nuclear fusion? Or?
No. No. It's for like a ventilator blowing in a seal, it's driving itself, and then
Yeah. But I only know this as an internet meme.
yeah, but it is a kind of meme. But sometimes you have projects who produce their own energy they will use to generate their own energy. Then you think,
Okay.
that's not really feasible.
They live the meme.
Yeah,
They're living the meme.
That is also, it's very funny because those people are working that hard on just seeing the solution and working. They don't see the overall thing that isn't possible in the thermodynamics. Yeah, perpetuum immobile.
Perpetuum immobile.
Perpetuum immobile.
Forever in motion.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's sometimes you get a project like that.
Yeah. And does your intuition come mostly from looking at numbers, or it's also more of a gut feeling sometimes?
The numbers say a lot, but I also read because I also like to read.
Yeah.
It's most if you really done a lot of focus in your project, you can write it very well. They know what, but people are afraid to say from some things there's a risk. There's always a risk that something will not work. And then you have some projects who have no risk. I can say now that's never the case. Then I will need to ask about it. But it's normal to always have risk, and there is some risk. But if you can cover that enough, or have something in mind to cover up the enough that it will not end up in a failure, or you will learn from the failure. That's also possible because it's an innovation project.
Yeah,
that's also okay.
Yes, and by risk you mean you don't get the return on your investment that you would like.
Yeah, or you go for a next technology readiness level. You bring your technology further. You scale it up or something like that, or it needs less energy, or it needs can meet the demands of what you want.
And sometimes you get applications from companies who say there is zero risk. We are so confident that we will succeed.
Yeah. Sometimes you have we have research, but we have the best people. We have a lot of knowledge about this, so we don't think we have a risk. And but what if?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and considering that a lot of your work is related to technology, but not necessarily very much. You're not an engineer anymore. What are your?
Oh, I'm still an engineer.
Okay, you're an engineer in function.
Yeah.
In your title, but not in function. Right? You're not a practicing engineer now. Yeah. You're more a philosophical engineer. What are your takeaways? Like what are your main takeaways having existed in that world as a engineer, but also not engineer?
Yeah, I think do stuff besides of your own expertise, education. Of course, you can do like I did here, basketball, but I also did the Dutch Student Investment Fund because because also of San Francisco, and I want to know more about it. But you can read about it and think from, that's interesting. You can do something with it. And I think, and that's maybe for also a little bit of voluntary work or something like that. Just do something you would never think you would do. Just because you will meet people who know things about you never thought about, and you will get experience in something you later on can use. Like the Dutch Student Investment Fund, it was also for me about finance. How do you look with new investments? I could use that in my own work because how does investment work, and how there's a lot of talking. But I also learned to talk with stakeholders, and that there's always not just a company who produce things, but you need the materials, you need the customers. There a lot of, and in a project, or if you have to bring your company further, you also need to recognize them. So if a company doesn't even know who are their customers or how they get their materials, then that's not a really good case. And that's in certain things you also have that, in not only in companies, but at certain things. So it's the broad picture.
Yeah. You become very aware of the big
Yeah.
picture. Yeah.
Especially for me, I have my interests. I'm a generalist, and my interests are just that broad. But that's why I like to do things beyond that, because I've worked with people who never did their elementary school like that, and they have to explain them a lot. But also they are also sometimes a lot smarter than you.
They bring something else to the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, it's not always in the numbers, and I think most of the time engineers always think if you can solve it and if you can present it in a way that everybody knows, oh, that's good, then everybody assumes here at the university that's good.
Yeah.
And an example would be for my work is if you can have plastic waste from the surroundings to bring back here, like pyrolysis, like here, you can make new plastic with it, and there's a kind of recycling. It's a way of bringing more circularity into plastics.
Yeah.
But they never thought when you bring plastic waste from one place to the another to the company, then you also become
A polluter.
a polluter, but also a dump site.
Yeah.
And if you live close by, you don't mind if it's really that sustainable or circular. There's a dump site living next to you. Then you're going to protest.
Yeah.
And if there are a lot of people claiming that and say that you need to go away with it, then and if just the company talk about it's washed and sustainable in that way, then you get them active. And that is not only just with projects like this, but it's in all kind of way of life or things you do.
You're not going to convince your neighbors with a scientific report.
Yeah, it's always a story behind it. But if you want to know the story, you need to ask people.
Yeah.
So just do things, that not necessary for your career, but also just for your own fun and for your own, knowledge.
Cool. And what would you recommend to students who, like you, have a broad range of interest? What would you recommend to them to look for, like who to contact, how to begin searching for the world outside of chemistry?
Well, the funny part is that when I search for this advisor for our work now, I just Googled on application sites just for innovation, and I just applied.
Was that easy? Yeah.
But I did at the Dutch agency enterprise, but ING and bank, who did investments into sustainable and innovation thing. And I did all that kind of things because I don't know what, but I want to do something with innovation.
Yeah.
Not necessarily chemical. I would be nice.
Yeah.
And that's why I also applied to Host and companies like that. But I wanted to do something with technical and innovation because that's what excites me. So I think if you want to work at Shell, so you think you have a great career, I don't think you should do that. If Shell has some things like from what really interests you, I think Arjen Nijmeijer can tell you about it. If you're really interested in what they do, then you should apply. Not just because it's a company. I think that's what would be my advice.
Yeah.
Because I also didn't think I would work at a government. It's just because I really like my job, because I do the things I like to do, want to know about, and to work with people who are into that. Not because I work at a government. If it was a company, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you set your criteria, and then you ended up in the government.
Yeah. So I think sometimes people forget that the intrinsic motivation comes from what you like, not of what you can achieve. And what you can like is a better motivation to achieve at great heights than if you work your butt off and you will end up sick because you get in down a path where you think, I can never achieve this, but because you don't have the motivation to do your job.
Yeah, it should be intrinsic motivation.
Yeah.
Follow your intrinsic motivation. No, follow your heart.
Yeah.
Follow your heart.
And in that way, find out what inspires you.
Yeah.
In that way. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's a nice...
philosophical.
I think that's a nice philosophical way to end things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure.
For taking the time to share your story.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I like the conversation. Thank you.
Yeah. Do you like how you sound on the radio?
Yeah. I have a smooth voice. Team Time Radio Hour. Full of your Kevin schemes and teams.
For both Bob and me, this is the first time we have ever done something remotely related to a podcast, and we think we sound very smooth.
Yeah.
It surprised us. Yeah.
I know I have a low voice, but now I can really hear it.
Yeah.
No, so thanks for the opportunity. I really like, guys.
No, thanks for coming over, and hope to see you again.
Yeah.